Let's move on to key two. Key two is turn have-tos into want-tos. With passion, leaders turn have-tos into want-tos. So things like responsibilities and jobs and chores all become fun challenges that you can't wait to begin and also have the fuel to actually complete. Listen, here's the news. We're all in America. We are in America. You don't have to do anything. As a matter of fact, you can stomp into a government agency and you can say, listen, I can't take care of myself. And you know what the government's going to do for you? The government of this great country is going to start mailing you checks. And heck, they're not even going to mail you checks. They're going to direct deposit checks into your account. So if your mindset, your training, your appetite is, well, I can't work, they're going to give you stamps to go buy food. And in the great state of California, they won't even give you stamps. They'll give you a credit card. It's called an EBT card. So the truth is, you don't have to do anything. So when people get caught up in this whole idea of, well, I got to do it, I got to work, I just know there's no passion there. Team, here's a compare and contrast point. I can't wait to get to work, and I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's teaching class, taking a phone call, or swabbing the deck. You know, I don't care. I'm going to do it passionately. Now, that doesn't mean that sometimes I don't feel a little off kilter. You know, I don't feel perfectly balanced. But when I do, I take a responsibility to shift in my mind's eye and train my own heart or talk to my own heart and say, okay, what's the purpose of this that I'm about to do? What does it serve? Does it serve a higher good? Does it keep me on track to my goals? Is it in alignment with my purpose? And when the answer is yes, I get fueled with excitement. You know, case in point, when I'm writing these leadership concepts and skills lessons that we teach in our academy, the moment I decide, okay, it's time to start, I know what I'm doing in the right here and the right now, and I know my purpose. Heck, for example, what I'm doing right now with this video team is right now I know that as I speak, what I'm doing right now is I'm creating a template to help young men and women become more successful in all areas of their life and taking a personal responsibility to have the courage to step up and go first. So what I'm doing is I'm also practicing my communication skills because I was told as a young man I was a terrible communicator. So, you know, I'm also talking into this camera so that I can better have all my ideas in alignment with this particular topic so that I'm on point. I'm doing this so that I can also see what else comes out from deep inside me as I unabashedly just let it flow. So I think that is this key. I don't have to do this type of talk. I want to do this type of talking. I don't have to clean the academy. I want to clean the academy. I don't have to walk up to Mrs. Smith and say, listen, I want you to do 30 days. I want to be a teacher because Jiu-Jitsu is fantastic. No, I want to do that. I want to be able to take that my mentality and shift it because that's my that's my free will. That mental shift between a having to and a wanting to. It's just that simple idea of you being firmly committed. That means you're able to forward the action towards the resolve. Even if you don't feel like it, you're firmly committed to the outcome that you most desire. That's what passion in my mind is. Passion is the pursuit of desire. And listen, you know, we all have desires. We've got desires for comfort. We've got desires for security. We've got desires for trust, desires for love, desires for deeper intellect, desires for a closer obedience to our Maker. And the good news is since we all have these desires, well, and what I've found out is that once you start taking action towards those desires, it does, in fact, create passion. Because what's interesting is once you have a hint of what's around the corner, once you have a hint that, hey, I have a hand in co-creating this, I have a hand in generating this, you run towards it. You run towards that. And most people in my mind's eye are running the wrong direction. They don't even know it. They don't even know why. So the key to passion is taking all of the stuff, all the have-tos, well, I got to cut the grass. I just have to do it, and turn it into a want to. I'm going to turn this into a well-manicured lawn that people will stop when they see me in the front and say, man, you got nice grass, and my kids are going to like to, you know, play in their swing set in that type of grass. Or here's another example. You know, some days I don't feel like working out, and I don't want to, and I don't want to work out. But then I tell myself, listen, the truth is I get to work out, and I'm not going to waste, and I do not want to waste a blessed life and a life that is happening inside this great country of ours. So that's the key. So it's not a have to, it's a want to. You just have to stimulate and understand that it's my job or my personal responsibility to stimulate that mental shift. You know, I was on the phone the other day with an old college friend of mine who said, hey, I'm still training jiu-jitsu. And I said, man, that's fantastic. And I asked him, how often do you train? He said, oh, I've been doing really well. I've been going, you know, once or twice a week. I said, that's great. Once or twice a week is fantastic. It's perfect. Congratulations. And he said, well, how many times do you train? How many times are you doing jiu-jitsu? And I said, well, I don't really think in weeks, but I think in a larger spectrum. You know, over the last 12 months, I've probably clocked in about 625, 650 lessons. You know, 650 lessons. And he goes, oh my goodness, how do you do it? How can you do that? And I said, because I want to. I want to. That's it. And as we continue to speak, he said, yeah, I think I have to. And he said, and we got to talking, and we figured out, that's the difference. He's trying to overcome a hip injury, and he's using jiu-jitsu as a way of, keeping that injury up and good and all that. So rather than saying I have to because it's therapeutic and I'm using it to fix my body or my hip, why don't we just all realize that our job is why don't we just give ourselves a bigger reason and lock into that? So it's no longer a have to. I'm doing it to fix my hip. I have to. I'm doing jiu-jitsu. I'm doing jiu-jitsu to improve my mind. I'm doing jiu-jitsu to improve my overall body. I'm doing jiu-jitsu to improve my discipline so that I can ongoingly train my discipline so that I can have I can do the right thing at the right time and I can conjure up the right attitude. I'm doing jiu-jitsu because it really gets me turned on. Everyone wants to have a nice physique. Everyone wants to have a high level of fitness. Everyone wants to be able to spring into action when they got to. That's the commonality. But the difference is some people, they think they have to do something to get it. But once your want tos are bigger than your have to dos or your have to do it's effortless. It's really effortless. In fact, in my line of work as a professional, I got to do phone calls, I got to teach jiu-jitsu. So sometimes there are days where I'm all about jiu-jitsu over 12 hours a day. Teams, sometimes I'm on the phone hours straight, hours. It doesn't stop. And I turn around and teach, 4 or 5 hours of jiu-jitsu. Now listen, I'm grateful. I'm not complaining. I've dissected that considerably down over the last few years with some competent staff. But when I think back, when there were no cell phones, for example, and I'd have to sit down at a desk and take one phone call right after the other, and then turn around and teach classes, and 3 times a week I'd have to take lunch at my desk so that I could do more phone calls and then teach. Listen, it was never something I had to do. I knew my mission. I knew my purpose. I wanted to do the next call. I wanted to do the next class. I wanted to do my best. I wanted to give back the very best efforts and the very best of what I had towards the purpose that I committed to, not only in my mind's eye, but I'd accepted in my heart. Now, what's that have to do with our conversation? One of the things that I think people fail to realize is they think passion comes from the outside in. When the conditions are right, I'll be really turned on. Then I'll get up and start doing something. Well, the truth is passion comes from the inside out. And how does that happen? Well, by you conjuring up and creating these ideas, these notions of vision. The good book says without a vision, people perish, or they're all over the place. You conjure up these outcomes, these goals, these visions. Understanding this is, in fact, my purpose, and I'm going to do it whether I feel like it or not because it's purposeful. Listen, passion is an inside job, not an outside job. Listen, how can I put this? The more external stimulation that you think you need to do something, the more of a have to it is. You understand what I mean by that? Like, for example, some people won't work out, like go to the gym, if they don't have the right clothes. I've had a few ladies over the course of my life that, they don't go to a yoga class because they're not comfortable in their yoga apparel. I think that's ridiculous. Nobody's looking that closely. As a professional instructor, my staff and my wife can attest to, we hear it all the time. We hear guys say, well, listen, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to show up. I'm going to show you guys, what it's all about. I'm going to show up for jiu-jitsu after I lose 20 pounds. I mean, how many of those guys have I met, over my career? I got to get in shape first and I'll show up. The truth is those people think that there's got to be an outside stimulus that's somehow going to make the conditions just right for them. And then they're going to feel it and then they're going to start. Again, the truth is, it's the internal stimulation of your own thoughts, your own ideas, in your own mind's eye, and the feelings that you have and the emotions that fall out of that wisdom that creates the passion. Passion is an inside out, not an outside in job. The guy who's got to turn up the loud music to work out, I'm not that impressed with. I'm just not impressed by that. It's the guy who can train, who can show up and train in silence. In my mind, that's the leader. That's just my opinion. Well, listen, I'm all talked out. Take from this what you will. There you have it. Key 2, turn your have-tos into want-tos. As always, it's my pleasure working with you today. Thank you very much. I look forward to working with you next time. In the meantime, I want you to keep the faith, keep working, and God bless.